is this legitimate? Is it a good festival? What are they doing for me? Is it a career conversation because I still played at a good festival?
Hello, welcome to the Cinescope podcast, the show where indie filmmaking meets fandom, pop culture, and everything in between. As usual, I am your host, Luke Walters, and not as usual, actually, because I'm not in my studio in Manchester. I'm actually in a basement that seems there was a very creepy doll in the background being dressed a couple of minutes ago, which I believe is for the premiere of Tanya. Yes, for this series of podcasts, we are partnered with Tees Valley International Film Festival, the greatest celebration of creative festival media, something, whatever. I'd have to get Michael to come on and say it once, but I can guarantee you it is a good weekend. So we're out and about this time. We're at Tees Valley. My guests for this one is none other than, actually, do you want to introduce yourselves? Because I will get it wrong. So I'll let you introduce yourselves first.
I'm Katie Bignell.
And I'm Ian Bignell, and we are part of Festival Formula. We are a consultancy company that helps the filmmakers get their films into film festivals around the world.
So today's episode is all about film festivals. So film festivals are they're quite a minefield, I would say. So what is Festival Formula? So what do you do?
So we've got 21 years worth of experience of handling submissions for clients and kind of finding film festivals around the world. We are here to help educate and nudge filmmakers in the right direction of their film. So we get a lot of filmmakers that the only festivals they know generally tend to be the big, top, shiny ones. So, Venice, Cannes, Berlinale, and then you've got places like South by Southwest, Sundance, and Tribeca. And they're all fantastically brilliant festivals in their own right, but they also are after a particular flavour of film. So what we're here to do is to kind of help gauge, is the film a film that can go to that level? And if it's not a bad thing. There's another circuit journey for it to have. So in a nutshell, here to stop filmmakers spending a lot of money in the wrong places.
But also those big festivals are really oversubscribed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like Sundance is getting like 18,000 submissions this year, and maybe like 12, 13 of that is going to be like short films alone. So it's tough.
So you've been involved in the film festival circuit for a while. You said 21 years experience. So what are the changes that you've noticed since you've started up until now?
A lot. So when I first started, the amount of festivals there were, we didn't have as many. We had a lot more premiere stipulations back then. So a lot of festivals now that don't have a premiere used to back in the day. Believe it or not, they were more expensive back even kind of 10, 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Like $50 a pop back in the day.
But it's because it's so easy to submit to now.
Yeah,
you click a few
yeah.
buttons. Because when I first started, era of Without a Box and Realport, these are kind of dead platforms now, but you used to have to print the form out, fill it in by hand. Your screener that you now submit online for free, you had to send a physical one. So I was sending VHS and DVD tapes back a long time ago.
And Digibeta.
And Digibeta for the festivals to even look at and consider. So it was very expensive also with the post on top. So that's changed. In turn, the amount of and I will be pre-Watershed, the amount of scummy festivals that are out there that exist has increased tenfold, and that also increased again off the back of the pandemic era. So that's changed, but also how many films are being made. It's cheaper now to make a film. I realize that's kind of within reason. It's going to still be expensive for some people based on their budget, but it's cheaper to make a film now. So the amount of submissions a festival gets is so vast compared to what it used to be.
You can shoot in progress off your phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah. Well, I was 28 years later, just pretty much shot everything on, I think it was the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's becoming a lot more accessible now. So because obviously technology has changed, the way we submit to festivals have changed. Do you think the audience for festivals have changed now? Because obviously festivals in the UK are quite saturated. I know about 12 in Manchester. They all show the same things, but yeah, do you think the audience has changed and how they attending festivals and going to festivals? Because you see some that are really well attended and really genre specific, and then some bigger ones that just feel like a funeral at times. So
I mean, I do think that the audience will find the festivals that they want to attend because they have a certain type of film that they're programming. So I don't think the audience has changed in terms of their viewing habits per se. I think they have always known what they want to watch, like a horror or a sci-fi or whatever it might be. But I think that they will find the right festivals they want to go to. And sometimes it's like they just want to go to Manchester Film Festival because it's Manchester, and that's the main reason they want to go. And it's, the town is on show at the end of the day. But I think there's obviously prestige with some festivals. They want to go there for the prestige. But they tend to find what they want to watch. And there are certain festivals that program more experimental and different types of films that other festivals won't. And I guess that's the beauty of a film festival. They all have their own flavour.
Yeah, and I think as well for us, we're always trying to dilute how different festivals are, because some of them are very industry orientated. So when you look out into the crowd, you're not really going to see your average punter. You're going to see sales agents, production houses, companies, press, which is kind of what those upper tier festivals are, like the big shiny OG festivals. But then when you kind of have a knockdown and you look at what we call traditional festivals, where they don't have a specificity, they're not just after doc, they're not just after human rights or genre, they play a bit of everything, which is actually the most common type of festival. Those festivals have a really interesting demographic, because some of them will be the filmmakers selected that are in the audience, and then that kind of extends to their kind of peers and their cast and crew. But then you also have the local community who turn out as well, which we love it when we go to a festival and see that, because realistically, whilst a filmmaker wants to get that validation from being selected at a festival, what they really should be looking at is finding their audience. So they can then talk to them and say, did you like my film? And it will be someone who's not in the industry, that's no holds barred, that will say, yeah, I love it.
There was a festival we went to in Indianapolis called Indie Shorts. It's an Academy qualifying festival. And we're outside the venue, and this woman was bawling her eyes out. She was just crying, sobbing. And I went up to her, I was like, you okay? And she's like, oh no, I've just watched a film. It really touched me. And then she explains to me that she books a week off work every year to attend the festival because she wants to watch stuff that the festival's playing, because she hasn't got access to it on her television or the networks that are playing in America. And I was like, that's really interesting to actually hear that it is connecting with like people that are not film folk per se.
Yeah, and that's what you want as a filmmaker.
So since the pandemic then, do you think, obviously more film festivals, do you think there's been a rise in more community-driven film festivals, and more people are going to those to try and connect with the type of films that are being made, instead of your industry and elitist festivals? Do you think there's been kind of like an upswell of that, or are we just like, not really?
I think, there's a lot more film nights
Yeah.
that we see
Yeah.
kind of pop up, which I think is an interesting kind of cog in a festival journey. Obviously our role as a strategist is we're looking at pure festivals, which is why we don't do awards mills. We don't do,
Monthly festivals.
monthly festivals, things that don't necessarily sit in a traditional format of a circuit journey. But we have seen a lot more film nights that have actually progressed into a festival. So they might have something that kind of recurs through the year, but they'll always have a festival. And I think that's because they're going on demand, because a lot of filmmakers are perhaps at the beginning of their circuit journey and they don't really want to have a smaller screening in a larger city, because that might kind of scupper some premieres.
I think festivals are getting better at recognising that as well, because their audience, whilst part of it is going to be filmmakers that are coming to watch their films and the other films playing, they've still got to tie back into the community, because they are putting that town on show for however long the festival's there for. So having that connection and tapping into Black communities, Asian communities, queer communities is really important to make sure that everything's represented in towns.
So in your opinion then, what makes a festival genuinely welcoming for filmmakers, and not just one of these ones that just a showcase, essentially, just a not an award mill, essentially?
I think it goes a long way when the festival, who's working there at the day, like Michael here, knows your first name when you walk through the door. It makes you feel important when you arrive at the festival. I think playing the films is the bare minimum that festivals have to do. It's the extra stuff around it that makes it more interesting. So are they doing networking opportunities? Are they doing panels, discussions, workshops, that type of stuff? But I think for the good festivals, they're putting on all this stuff for the filmmakers, but some festivals are putting on free food, that goes a long way, feeding filmmakers. So I think they're the nice extra things you get. But I always think that you don't want to be a tiny fish in a massive ocean. You want to be the same size fish as everybody else going into the same pond, and everyone's got a name, everyone knows each other, and the festival actually knows who you are and knows your film, and you can speak to the programmer that programmed your film. That's always exciting.
Yeah, and also just understanding that it's a two-way relationship. Without the festival, you as a filmmaker won't get your film seen in that arena. Then without the films, the festival doesn't have the program. So I think every festival that we've been to where we've kind of gone, they've really engaged with the filmmakers here, is because they do take the time to know who they are, but also they put on a safe space for filmmakers. They understand that it is costly to get to a festival, that, you know, they want filmmakers to be able to eat and have time to do that. They also want to give a space for filmmakers to talk to each other and not just have back-to-back screenings. So, I mean, obviously, because we have a very intensive insight to how festivals run, because we're dealing with different festivals all day, every day. And how Venice, the OG festival of them all, how Venice Film Festival runs their festival compared to something like, I don't know, London Short Film Festival, it's very, very different. But they still have the same ethos, which is putting films on for an audience to show off these voices.
Well, for a start, you don't have to catch a boat to get to the film festival.
That's true. And also, I mean, I know,
Love to catch a boat. Oh my god.
well, Venice is expensive and London's not cheap, but it's not as expensive as Venice. But I think having a level of understanding from a festival perspective that every festival, genuinely, any decent, legit festival, will want a filmmaker to attend, but they will know if they can't because they're the other side of the world. They have a day job, childcare, budget. But when they know that you're coming, they will so put on the red carpet for you,
Yeah.
they'll make you feel special, and even if it is just picking you up from the airport or giving you 1 or 2 nights in a hotel, that helps. But I think we were touching on this last night, there's a very big divide between what festivals can offer perhaps in UK and Ireland compared to what they can offer in mainland Europe and US.
But also what access they can give you as well, because if you're a filmmaker, you want to be speaking to people like us. Like, we don't want to be tucked away in a green room somewhere and we're not allowed to speak to filmmakers. We want to be speaking to the filmmakers. So when you get the opportunity, because I've met people from Disney, Netflix, whoever, over the years, and I've never met them at the big shiny ones like Sundance. I've always met them at the ones that sit underneath that. But because they're more open and transparent as a festival, they want you to engage with them. And they might not be able to answer your question, but they might know someone that does. So it can all help.
So looking at the bigger, sorry, I'm going to cut back. So funny story about a boat. Sorry, we did a film festival in Ireland and we stayed in the accommodation. I got the accommodation wrong. It said on Airbnb it was right next to where the event was happening, and it was via ferry.
Oh,
via a 3-minute ferry. Otherwise, it was like a half an hour round trip by car. But yeah. So I've attended a film festival by boat. So crossed my mind then.
That's how I do all my film festivals now.
It was so cool. Yeah, we both suited about it and got off, and it was very James Bond-esque, but it was so bizarre.
wait, but if it's a ferry, did it stop at a certain time?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it will do.
Oh, it was awful. It stopped at 8 o'clock, so we had to get. Yeah, we had to, and there's only like one taxi on the island. Oh, it was such a mess. But yeah, the Irish lot took care of us, and they were grand. So yeah, talking about the bigger film festivals then, and everyone obviously when they first make their film, they're like Sundance, South by Southwest, Cannes. Do you think filmmakers just chase the big name festivals and don't look at what some of the not the lower ones, but some of the more unrecognized ones have to offer compared?
Yeah, definitely. I think like they don't feel sometimes like they like a filmmaker unless they're playing at those big festivals. We've lost count because when we look at previous submissions from clients, if they've got some, it's always the same suspects. It's always Locarno, Sundance, Telluride. Like, you can rattle them off and they're very predictable, but then everyone wants to play the same festival and they're just super oversubscribed. And you look at the stuff that plays at like Berlinale and Cannes and all these big festivals, they play such unique films that they're not super accessible for the rest of the circuit. It's great for them, but sometimes, like, we've watched some really weird films where you're just like, these aren't really accessible films, but that's the type of film that a bigger festival plays. But, you know, like, I've had it with like filmmakers before. They're like, yeah, like, I want to play Berlinale, and I'm like, okay, cool, you've made a rom-com. Like, that's probably not going to play at Berlinale. And they're like, oh, but can we try? And I'm like, No, it's and that's kind of like we have to manage expectations. And I think that we've had films that have played Sundance and Venice before, and that's amazing. But they're very unique types of films. They are showing off their flair in different ways to traditional films. I think that for the average filmmaker, you can still go on the circuit and play Academy qualifying festivals. They may not be Sundance, but they're still great. So it's just understanding like where is your audience, where does your film fit, rather than trying to force it in somewhere it really hasn't got a chance of getting into, or it's not the right flavour.
Yeah, and they also set themselves up for a lot of rejection. I mean, look, the circuit's built on rejection anyway. You are going to get told no a lot because there's so many people making films. And I always like to use the point that, if we know that 18,000 submissions made for Sundance, if you just say like 50% of that are absolutely dire, like then you still got the 6,000 kind of like, or 8,000, sorry, that you're trying to battle against. So we're trying to kind of chip away slowly but surely and trying to say to people, if you want to submit to one of those big festivals, you need to understand why. And it can't just be because it's a really big festival. You need to tell me, I've looked at their program for the last few years, and I think my film is of the certain quality and flavour of that. Because the amount of people that say, I want to submit to Berlinale or Cannes, and we go, have you looked at their program last year? And they go, no. You're like, well, that's the first start. I mean, I know Cannes is free to submit to, but it's by the by, they still require a very big premiere. But I think the benefit we have is for doing it so long, we have had selections at Venice and South by and Sundance, and Tribeca and all those kind of very big kind of considered festivals that we can say to them genuinely, your film is not necessarily what they're after. Whereas a lot of filmmakers are doing it solo, where they just go, well, that's what the people at the top, the big funders that will kind of see that I am a filmmaker and I'll rise to the top if I've played at these festivals. They don't necessarily look at, does my film suit there?
You can save money as well, because like those big festivals are really expensive. Like Berlinale is not cheap. Sundance on later deadlines, certainly they start at 36, but like they get a lot more expensive. So like it's an easier way of saving money by making sure that you're not. I always say to filmmakers, it's great to not overreach for a festival, but not underreach as well. Like don't sell yourself short, but don't start grabbing stuff that you shouldn't be going for. Like sit where you're supposed to be. It can save you a lot of money.
And time. Like a lot of these big festivals do have a strict premiere stipulation. So if you want to play at Venice, they need a world premiere. So are you really going to sit on your film for a year on the basis that it's just because you want to play there? Whereas we can take a look at film and go, this is not what Venice is after. So let's go for the other ones before that and after.
This is a story as old as time, which is that you see a filmmaker sitting on TIFF in September and going, yeah, we're holding our world premiere for them. And I'm like, why? You're missing opportunities in between now and when it happens. And they're like, no, we've got to try for TIFF. I'm like, you're not going to get in, and they get rejected, and then the whole world falls out the trap door of their little lives. And you're like, I wish you kind of just didn't bother doing that, and you just got on the circuit and people started watching the film. Because if no one's watching it, what's the point of making it? That's the question.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So moving away from the bigger ones then, and looking at like up and coming filmmakers then, and some of the filmmakers you're they're just starting out, and when they're looking to submit, and you see a lot of online film festivals coming out now, especially on Film Freeway, all your monthly stuff. Do you think there is a place for them in the industry, or do you like advise to be like, maybe not?
depends on the film. I think like if the quality of the film is there, it can travel. There are some online and monthlies that are okay, but very few and far between. Like if we're talking about like a monthly festival, we've got like New Filmmakers LA, which is actually really good.
Which is in person, it's not
It's in
online. So they
person.
are two separate
And
things.
that's run by Larry, and Larry's an amazing guy, very supportive of new filmmakers. There's a film festival in Vermont called Middlebury New Filmmakers Film Festival, which is for first and second time filmmakers. That can be your first and second short or first and second feature. So there are pockets for you to fit into as well. I think like you just have to be honest with your film, and kind of like as a filmmaker, you might not be the right person to decide where the film aims level wise, because obviously you want the best for your film. So that's where we can come in, because we watch everything for free, we give feedback for free, and we'll say like, it's not here, but it might be here. So, and giving like realistic expectations of what the film can do. But there's still pockets on the circuit that the films can sit in. It just depends what you've made. I mean, we've had first-time filmmakers that have gone and played all around the world and done amazing stuff. But that's not every journey that goes on the circuit. It's all about the film. Does the story connect? Is it interesting? Is it unique? And if it is, and there's films here we've watched already yesterday where I'm like, that film can travel, definitely. But it just depends on the film.
I think the online part, I wouldn't necessarily, I don't like to use the word traditionalist, but for us, there's online festivals where it's online only. So that is their entire, like, their marketing is just purely online, which we're not big fans of, only because it's not a curated experience. It's not kind of put into a block where an audience can engage with it. And it can seem very hollow. So for Filmmaker, they just go, great, my film played, and I just know it played, you know. Whereas if you played an in-person festival, even if you can't physically attend, you still can see that the festival took place. There was an audience, there were engaging events or Q&As, whatever. Then you kind of separate the monthly events, which they can sometimes be an online monthly event.
Yeah.
We're not a fan of those either, only because from a kudos perspective, if you get selected for those monthly events, you are the best of that month's submissions.
Yeah.
We realise it's a slow and tedious process to do a yearly edition of a festival, but you have so much more going for you as a creative, where you can go, I got picked out of the 2,000 submissions that they got sent this year. Whereas it might be, I got selected out of the 50 they got this month, and it kind of doesn't really have the same
Yeah.
level of
But
prestige.
you have hybrid as well. So you have festivals that actually happen that are good, that are in person, but also they have an online element. And you'll find that they will have some films that play online that won't be playing at the festival, which is not ideal because, of course, you want to play at the festival, but it might still be a brilliant festival. So it's still worth, a laurel was a laurel. You still were part of the festival. So they're still worth looking at, but you kind of got to measure, is this legitimate? Is it a good festival? What are they doing for me? Is it a career conversation because I still played at a good festival?
Yeah, and off the back of that, a really good example is Panic Fest, which is a genre-specific festival in Missouri. They do a separate online part to the in-person, and they can't play a lot of films. That's kind of why they've done it. And every filmmaker that gets selected there for the online part, at first they're always like, oh, bummer, I wanted to be in the in-person part. But the amount of traction they get press-wise from just being part of Panic Fest, from, you know, you get loads of genre-specific publications attending and watching and reviewing films. So even somebody who's just on the online part still has access to that. So that it's still something that's beneficial. So there's lots of variables. I will say that off the back of the pandemic, we had to take a lot of time to talk to our clients and filmmakers who needed help about the verbiage of online, because there were festivals who were doing they kind of pivoted to being from an in-person to virtual only because of the pandemic. And that was valid because it was geo-restricted sometimes, it was behind a paywall, it was safe, and it was still beneficial to the filmmaker. The difference between the festival that's been in person turning to that is that they come with all of those years' worth of experience and knowledge. So, you know, even an Oscar qualifying festival that goes virtual is still an Oscar qualifying festival that's been running for 30 years, and it's kind of got a great program and so on. It's very different to a festival that's like, hey, we're a first, second year festival. We're purely online. You're not going to be in a curated block. You're just going to be on a Vimeo list that you can click play, and that's it. Whereas for a filmmaker, some will be wanting that validation and they can chase it, but it's not kind of the done thing in the grand scale of the industry.
And finally then, so for anyone watching, if they have a film and they want to reach out to you, where's the best place to do it?
Come to our website at festivalformula.com. There is a little tab at the top where you can contact us, and there's a form on there which you could put all your metadata of your film, how long it is, what it's called, and everything else, previous submissions. And then we will watch the film and we'll give you honest feedback, good, bad, warts and all, just because you sometimes need to know the bad stuff to understand what hurdles there might be. And then there's obviously a conversation we can have from there. But you can reach out to us through there, or info@festivalformula.com.
The link will be in the bio. So yeah, thanks for coming along tonight. sometime on a Saturday.
There's no windows
It's
that
Saturday.
day,
Yeah,
so
there's a bit of windows. It's a bit light over there. So yeah, but thanks for taking the time to talk to us as well. I hope everyone listening and watching finally knows how to crack the film festival scene, especially in the UK and the wider world, and see that there's a lot more to the film festival scene than a monthly film festivals online and basements in Stockton. Actually, Stockton's really nice. To be fair, Tees Valley's actually really nice, and they do treat you well.
We're kidnapped, so we're kidnapped.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're here against someone.
We're literally being forced to make podcasts soon. Otherwise, we're not being let out. Michael, I'm so sorry. But people are laughing in the background, so that's fine. But yes, again, thanks for coming along, and we will see you on the next edition of the Cinescope podcast.